Asterisk, my husband chose his mother over me, and the moment he did, he unknowingly destroyed the one thing he would spend years trying to get back. I still remember the exact words. My mother comes first, Olivia. She always will. The room went silent after Ryan said it. His mother stood beside him with a smug smile on her face while I sat frozen at the dining table, trying to process what I had just heard. What neither of them knew was that within a few months, Ryan would lose far more than a wife, and by the time he realized it, it would be too late. My name is Olivia Carter, I'm 32 years old, and for most of my marriage, I believed love meant patience. I believed that if you loved someone enough, you could survive anything together. I was wrong. Ryan and I had been married for 8 years. In the beginning, he was kind, attentive, and fiercely protective. But there was always one person who controlled every major decision in his life, his mother, Margaret. Margaret never liked me. According to her, no woman would ever be good enough for her son. At first, the insults were subtle. She criticized my cooking, my clothes, my career, and even the way I decorated our home. Whenever I complained, Ryan would tell me the same thing. That's just how mom is. For years, I convinced myself I could handle it until the day everything changed. That day started like any other Sunday. Ryan and I had invited his family for dinner. I spent hours preparing the meal. Everything was perfect, or at least I thought it was. Halfway through dinner, Margaret announced that she wanted Ryan to co-sign a massive loan for her newest business venture. The amount was nearly all our savings. I immediately felt uneasy. We had been planning to buy a larger home and start a family. Losing that money would delay everything. Trying to remain respectful, I suggested that Ryan and I discuss it privately before making such a huge commitment. Margaret's expression darkened instantly. See? She snapped. She's always trying to control you. I expected Ryan to defend me. Instead, he looked at me with irritation. Then came the words that changed everything. My mother comes first, Olivia. Stop making this difficult. The entire table fell silent, and in that moment, something inside me broke. Because for the first time, I realized I wasn't competing with another woman. I was competing with his mother, and I was losing. For the next several weeks, Ryan threw himself completely into helping Margaret. The loan was approved, our savings disappeared, and somehow I became the villain. Every concern I raised was labeled selfish. Every question became an argument. Every disagreement ended with Ryan reminding me that family comes first. The irony was painful. Wasn't I his family too? The answer became clear one rainy Thursday evening. I had just returned home from work when I overheard Ryan talking to Margaret on speakerphone. I wasn't trying to listen, but then I heard my name. She's overreacting again, Ryan said. Margaret laughed. She's always been jealous of our relationship. Ryan laughed too. That hurt more than any insult Margaret had ever thrown at me. For years, I had defended him, excused him, and protected him, and now he was sitting there helping his mother mock me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Instead, I sat in the living room thinking about every sacrifice I had made, every dream I had postponed, and every time I swallowed my pride to keep the peace. And for what? To be treated like an outsider in my own marriage? The answer came a few days later. While organizing paperwork, I discovered something that made my stomach drop. Ryan had secretly taken out another loan, a large one, and my name was attached to it without my knowledge or permission. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. Instead, he looked annoyed. Mom needed help. Mom needed help. That was his explanation. Not an apology, not remorse, just another excuse. For the first time in 8 years, I looked at my husband and realized I didn't recognize him anymore. The man I married would never have betrayed my trust like this, but the man standing in front of me wasn't choosing his wife. He was choosing his mother. Again, that night I packed a suitcase. Ryan didn't even stop me. He genuinely believed I would come back. What he didn't know was that I had already made the hardest decision of my life, and once I left, there would be no turning back. 3 months later, I filed for divorce. Ryan was stunned. Not because he missed me, but because he never thought I'd actually leave. When the papers arrived, he called repeatedly. At first he was angry, then confused, then desperate. But I was done explaining myself. The divorce uncovered even more secrets, additional debts, hidden financial commitments, and money that had quietly disappeared into Margaret's endless projects. The deeper we looked, the uglier the truth became. Ryan wasn't just helping his mother, he was drowning for her, and she was letting him. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding my life, slowly, painfully, but successfully. I moved to another city, accepted a promotion, bought a small condo, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Then life delivered an unexpected twist. About 18 months after the divorce, I received a call from an old mutual friend. Ryan's life had fallen apart. Margaret's business had failed. The loans defaulted. Creditors were calling daily. Ryan had sold his truck, then his house, then nearly everything he owned. The woman he sacrificed his marriage for had left him to deal with the consequences alone. And suddenly, I understood something important. People often think karma arrives dramatically. It doesn't. Sometimes it arrives quietly, one bad decision at a time. A few weeks later, Ryan appeared outside my office. I barely recognized him. He looked exhausted, older, defeated. For several moments, neither of us spoke. Then he said something I never expected. You were right. 3 simple words. 3 years too late. Ryan admitted everything. He admitted that Margaret manipulated him. He admitted that he ignored countless red flags. Most importantly, he admitted that he had chosen the wrong person. Then he looked directly at me and asked the question I already knew was coming. Can we talk? I agreed because after everything, I wanted closure. We met at a quiet cafe the following weekend. Ryan arrived early. I could tell he had rehearsed this moment hundreds of times. For nearly an hour, he talked. He apologized for the lies, the debts, the betrayal, the humiliation, and the years I spent feeling second place in my own marriage. Then he confessed something unexpected. After the divorce, Margaret eventually turned on him too. The moment he couldn't financially support her anymore, she lost interest. The loyalty he spent years proving meant nothing. The approval he chased never existed. For the first time, Ryan saw the relationship clearly, and the realization destroyed him. When he finished speaking, there were tears in his eyes. I lost everything, he whispered. I believed him because he had. Then came the question, is there any chance we can start over? The younger version of me would have said yes. The woman sitting there now was different, stronger, wiser, and no longer willing to settle for being someone's second choice. I smiled softly and shook my head. Ryan, I forgive you. Hope immediately appeared in his eyes, but then I continued. Forgiveness isn't the same as a second chance. His expression fell instantly. Finally, I told him the truth. The day you chose your mother over me wasn't the day our marriage ended. It ended every time you ignored my feelings, every time you defended her behavior, and every time you expected me to sacrifice while you gave up nothing. Tears rolled down his face because deep down he knew I was right. When we finally stood to leave, Ryan asked one last question. Do you ever regret leaving? I looked at him and smiled. No, leaving saved my life. For several seconds, he simply nodded. Then he turned and walked away. The man who once chose his mother over his wife finally understood the cost of that decision, and the woman who once begged to be chosen no longer needed his approval. Because sometimes the greatest lesson in life is realizing your worth, and sometimes the greatest regret is discovering that lesson after you've already lost everything.